I have the phone balancing on my cafetiere because I had a couple of interviews lined up for this week, and due to health reasons for the guests, they had to reschedule, which is absolutely fine. Hope you are feeling better soon, and they are booked to come in the next few weeks. So episode 235. I have been at a few amazing events recently. I spoke at the Scottish Women's Wellbeing Summit. So I had Leslie Canis on the podcast previously talking about all the amazing speakers that she was going to have and the workshop that I was going to deliver. And it was an amazing day. So brilliant. The venue was gorgeous. The Old Course Hotel and Spa in St Andrews. The goodie bags were fab. The event, like the speakers were just, we opened the day with my friend Shannon Miller, Joy from Joyworks, who has also been on the podcast before. She got us all up and moving and singing and getting out of our own way, finding that joy, because it's so easy to sit comfortably quiet and uncomfortable rather than laughing and high-fiving the people round about you and hugging people if that's your thing. And it was interesting to see different people in the room's willingness or lack of willingness to embrace this. The vast majority of people in the room did embrace it. And I just wonder what goes on in somebody's mind. What is that insecurity that they're running? What is that fear that they're running that they can't let go? And it might be that that's not their personality. And as long as they are comfortable in that, that's fine. But it's when you feel awkward of, I wish I was joining in, but I'm not because I'm too scared of what other people think. That's sad. But if you're, I'm not joining in because this is not my thing and I am totally fine with it, awesome. You are in your power. I then took off after that to go and watch Claire Hunter, who is a medical herbalist. I'm going to reach out to Claire about coming onto the podcast because she's just a fountain of knowledge when it comes to women's health and using different herbs for different ailments. I will not go into those in today's podcast because I would just love to have her in and chatting about that, because I use herbs a lot and there is always more to learn. And there are caveats with different herbs. So if you're experiencing this in your body, then don't use this herb for this ailment, use this other herb for the support. It's fascinating, absolutely fascinating world. And I definitely want to learn more about it. Although when I was talking to Claire and I was telling her all the things that I already do, she was like, oh, you're already a herbalist, which I felt uncomfortable with her saying because I was like, oh, what's that? Sensation coming up in me that makes me feel insecure about acknowledging and accepting that compliment I saw as. I then went on to deliver my Love Your Lymph workshop, which was received so well. Like everybody in the room was interested and invested and asking questions and doing the demo. And I've had so many messages since then saying, oh, I'm still doing that lymph work. I feel absolutely great doing it. And it's so important that we support our body's detoxification system. Some of the other speakers, I'm obviously blanking on them. I don't want to take you step by step. There was Lee Donald, who went to the death zone on Mount Everest. Her story was incredible. Like everybody was like on the edge of their seats, tuning in, listening. And she was talking for 45 minutes. She started at 1 o'clock, and at 1:30 there was meant to be a series of workshops started. And nobody left the room to go to any of those workshops, which then meant all the workshops in the afternoon were running a wee bit late, which was fine because everybody just wanted to hear her story. They wanted to hear how amazing everything was. Yeah, fantastic day. Inspirational women doing amazing and brave things that make you question what are the stories that you're telling yourself. And I would invite you to think about what are the stories that you're telling yourself that are maybe holding you back from achieving what it is that you want to achieve. Then this weekend, just past 22nd of November, I had my workshop with my good friend Emma Toms, who's been on the podcast several times. We've done many dual podcasts together. And in that workshop, we adapted it from our previous workshop because we're talking about the 6 pillars of lifestyle medicine, and both me and Emma have added other pillars into the 6 because I've talked about this before. Hydration is massive and it's not one of the pillars, and maybe there's an assumption that everybody already knows that, but I really know from working with people, putting hands on people, how many people are dehydrated. So hydrate, 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 because none of the other systems are going to work well if your body's not properly hydrated. So we got to share our stories about our health journeys. The ladies and gentlemen that came along to the workshop got to share their information. We did some practical stuff. So again, I've taught some of the lymphatic drainage. I taught some fascia work about how to release, because I'm really getting into fascia and the benefits of working with your fascia and all the different ways that you can work fascia. I mean, I did originally get taught about it when I was at college back in 2009, when we did foam rolling. Was kind of a new thing in the industry, but we didn't at that time really know or understand how important the fascia is in every single system in our world, how the fascia has its own nervous system. The fascia is what is reading a room. When you walk into a room and you feel that energy, it's your fascia that's picking that up and transferring that information through, and how your lymph lives in the fascia, and the fascia connects every single part of your body. Every muscle, every bone, every organ, every vessel is surrounded by fascia, and it's not just the glue that holds us together. It's this amazing internal internet highway of awesomeness. So I'm learning lots about it and incorporating that into the classes that I'm teaching, to just gradually introduce people into how we can feel nice in our bodies, how when we hold intention in places, we can gradually let that go. And then obviously there's a whole emotional aspect of it, that our fascia holds all our emotions. So anything that we've suppressed over time, that then gets caught in those tissues then become stiff. That then leads to lymphatic congestion, which then leads to chronic inflammation, which then leads to disease. And this, just my mind feels like it is melting with all the jigsaw puzzle pieces getting put together. And I'm definitely noticing changes in my own body as I'm working more with fascia. And yeah, things are starting to unblock, which then is producing symptoms. But I see those symptoms as the body clearing out those toxins, letting go, releasing, rather than being a problem. So it's been a very insightful couple of weekends that I've had, and yeah, I'm really excited about the possibilities of being able to help people heal in a really deep, deep way, using sound, using vibration, using breath work, using gentle movement. Talk therapy, and I've said this before, talk therapy has its place and it can be super useful. I am an NLP practitioner, master practitioner. I have been for NLP therapy, I have been for CBT therapy, done lots of talk therapy over the last 15 years, and it has its place, but it can only do so much. The physical body, the emotional body needs to move, needs to be freed to let other things go. And I am very excited about bringing that into my community and being able to help people heal, whether they come to me in person or work with me on any of my online courses and projects. There's lots there that is available. And I would love to know from you, what is it that you're feeling stuck with just now, or what modalities are you exploring in your own healing journey? I am really interested to know what people are excited about. the other thing with the fascia work is about the language that we use, the words that we use, that vibrational energy. And it's not about vibing high, but it's been about conscious about the language that we use in our own minds. Are we speaking from a negative place? Are we using negative affirmations to keep us stuck, to have us in a belief system? And it's checking in with yourself. And I spoke about this when Lauren Stewart was on the phone from Darling. She wasn't on the phone, she was on the podcast from Darling Breathe, and we were talking about breath work, and we were talking about Byron Katie's the work, and it's about this checking in with yourself. Is this really true? How do we know it's true? And being able to challenge our own thoughts. Also spoke a lot about this with somebody else, Lisa, whose surname I'm totally blanking on, when we had this amazing conversation about our thoughts and our thought processes. Why can I not remember Lisa's name? It was only a few podcasts ago. Oh, Lisa, I'm so sorry. I'll put it in the show notes. But yeah, your thoughts are your story. And I had lots of insightful moments when I was reading Lisa's book, Truly You. That's her book. Can't remember her surname, but I can remember her book. So yeah, stories we tell ourselves create this vibrational energy, because we are made up of water and carbon, sand, basically. And you can see when they've done experiments with water, how water holds memory, how sand responds to different frequencies and makes that word's escaping my brain, geometric, that's the right word, shapes, beautiful patterns. And if there's negativity and anger, that creates different shapes and patterns. And that's what from a quantum level they believe is going on in our bodies. And that is fascinating. So what are the stories you're telling yourself? Like I said, when Sharon was doing her joy stuff, what are the stories you're telling yourself? What is that frequency you're creating in your own body? Very interesting and very worthwhile exploring. So journaling is something that I would recommend most people do. It's not something that I have done on a regular basis. I did go for a fascia treatment recently, and in that we were talking about journaling, and Claire said to me, she's like, there's a lot of congestion in your tissues, there's a lot of stuff you need to let go, maybe consider journaling. And I was like, yeah, that just gives me the bulk. But the next morning I wrote about 10 pages, 10 A5 pages, just scroll. And I've been exploring that a little bit more. What I've been doing is I've been asking myself a question at night, and then in the morning journaling on it. Because at night when you're asleep, your brain is processing and unraveling information. Some of that information will come through in your dreams, some of it will come through in, oh, I've just remembered I was dreaming about somebody. Maybe I need to journal on that, because people come up in your dreams, you're like, why are you there? I don't speak to you anymore, I don't see you anymore. What is that about? It's worth exploring. Is there a belief about these people that you dream about? Or is there stories that you're holding on to about situations and things that need to be cleared out, that need to be let go of? So I've definitely been exploring that more in the last couple of weeks. And there's been more pages of stuff being written out. And it's really important when you're doing these purge type things that you never go back and reread what you wrote and put it. My friend, so Emma Thomas, who's been on the podcast before and that I run the workshop with, she has 3 separate journals. She has one for purging. She's like, it's just scrap paper, you can chuck it out. She has one for present time and then one for future thinking. And I thought that was really useful to consider separating them out rather than having them all in one book, because the present time and the future thinking you maybe want to go over again. So the purging, the getting rid of the beliefs and past thoughts, ditching them is really important. So having that somewhere in a book that you're happy to chuck out, or on paper that you just destroy, so that it's gone. It's out of your head, it's onto the paper, and it's gone. It has been destroyed, it has been scrapped, thrown away. really useful. Do you journal? If you do, tell me in the comments. I'd love to know. I'm going to finish up there today because, as I said, this was completely impromptu. Needed a podcast, wanted a podcast to come out, and didn't want to wait for a guest because I like doing these little solo shows from time to time. An insight into my mind and how it thought processes out, unscripted, unplanned. If you are interested in anything that I've had to say today and want to know more about working with me, check out the description below of the different ways to get in touch. Drop me a message. I have in person, work with women and females in person at my private studio here in Springburn in North Glasgow. Otherwise, it's online. So anything that you feel drawn to, any questions that you've got, please do reach out, and I will see you on the next podcast. I have a wonderful guest that I'm recording a podcast with tomorrow, Janique, who is, I don't know what she's going to bring. I don't think she knows what she's going to bring to the conversation, but I met Janique at networking recently, and she's just got one of these energies that you feel drawn to and you think you're going to do something special in this world. And I'm excited and I'm here for it and I'm cheering you on. So we're going to talk on Tuesday, which is at this moment in time tomorrow, and it will be out on Friday. So do check that out. And otherwise, I will see you on the next podcast.